This is the third video in how to do a word study. In this video, we're going to use Logos Bible software to look at lexicons or dictionaries. Both sort of mean the same thing. Lexicons sometimes used with foreign language, like from one language to another, while a dictionary is more of one language giving the definition in that language to the same language. When we're looking at lexicons, we have to remember that lexicons provide a semantic range and they list different definitions and glosses. Not all of those definitions in the dictionary or lexicon applies to a single usage. You have to pick the right one for the circumstance. And sometimes for biblical Greek lexicons, they will list the right verse that they say is the right verse that applies to the definition. These several verses here apply to this definition, while the second definition has these other verses that it applies to. And a funny thing, though, is that different lexicons may disagree with each other as to the definitions of a word, and they might apply the same definitions to different text. For instance, one might choose this verse for this definition and then choose a different verse than their competitor in thinking. I want to go back to our verse in Romans 3:25. We see that word propitiation again, and let's look at that a little bit again. And we can look at the word hilasterion, and just to remind you that we can spell that out. In the last video, we forgot to put the H at the beginning, but we make it up here. And here we've done a little bit of syllabification. So here's our Logos Bible software, and we have that verse, Romans 3:25, and here we have our word hilasterion, which some are translating propitiation, and we're just going to right-click on that word, and we get this nice breakout of all the different features that they have, and they list a gloss of it right here, place of propitiation, mercy seat, noun, and they break it down into what is. But one of the things that we can do is come down and look up this word in the dictionary. And we have several different dictionaries that we can look at. I want to just start out. I'm going to hover over that tab to get its name. And we see there it's Liddell. And so one of the things we do is we look at the definition that they're giving. They say mercy seat, covering for the ark. They're looking at the use of this word in the Septuagint, that Greek translation of the Old Testament. And there it is in Exodus 25:60. And here we come over and they list Hebrews 9:5, that mercy seat. It's the same meaning there as what they give. But then when they come to the second different definition, see, this is this first definition up here, but then they come to the second definition. They say propitiatory gift or offering in Romans 3:25. So they're saying that word has this meaning in semantic range in Romans 3:25. They've assigned it. And then they're looking at some other literature, and they're saying that it means monastery in this other context from this other writings. And then they're giving for these other contexts, which are not in the Bible, water raising equipment. So we have 4 definitions from this dictionary, and several are in the Bible, but several are not. Now, one of the really nice things you can do in Logos Bible software is look at parallel books, the books of the same type. And so there's our first one. And we can come down and we can pick a different one. So many of you have Mounce's Complete Expository Dictionary of the Old Testament and New Testament words, and we can go to that and see what he does. Now, he gives here's the word, and he gives the transliteration. And then he gives his definitions here, covering the ark, and then the mercy seat and a place of propitiation. And then here he's saying his definition applies to Romans 3:25, and he's giving you some other verses. Now, notice that he gives here this number, and it goes to the GK numbering system, and we could click on that and get to a different listing of it. And here is a different dictionary. Here's Swanson's Dictionary of Biblical Languages with Semantic Domains. And so it's a little different look. Means of forgiveness. So see, they're not saying propitiation here. Means of forgiveness and sacrifice of atonement. And they're applying that to our verse, Romans 3:25. But then what's interesting here is that he's listing other resources. So here's our Strong's dictionary, and here's the Theological Dictionary of the New Testament. So Strong's is, we can click on that and get our Strong's definition. And mercy seat and propitiation is what Strong's is saying. If you want to compare dictionaries, one of the things that you can do is come up here to the multiple books display, and you can bring in another dictionary at the same time. You see here we have the word hilasterion, and we have our original definition here, and then we have what Louw-Nida say. And Louw-Nida comes from a different position than some of the others. When they're looking at hilasterion, they, from their theological position, say that it's not right to translate it as propitiation. Propitiation is essentially a process by which one does a favor to a person in order to make him or her favorably disposed. But in the New Testament, God is never the object of propitiation, since he is already on the side of the people. And so they're saying that it means forgiveness, denotes the means of forgiveness, not propitiation. So that's their definition, and it differs from some of the other resources. Another resource that's well known is this dictionary, often called BDAG. As you can see, here's that abbreviation. It's for the authors Bauer, Danker, Ardent, and Gingrich. And here's their listing of hilasterion. Let's zoom in a little bit to their definition. And you can see that they give the first definition as the means of expiation, and they assign that to Romans 3:25. And then the place of propitiation, they give that to Hebrews 9:5. All of these abbreviations here are references to why they say that that's the semantic range, and it's their justification. It's the evidence of why they believe that. So you can see from our covering the various dictionaries that there's not agreement necessarily in the definitions or how it's applied in different contexts. It's both science and art and science, and there are definite words that we have to look at the dictionary to see the definition. It's not just looking at the first definition given in the dictionary. It has to apply in the context, and that's a part of the art, is knowing how to apply the right definition to the right context.